look at countries that only import things, their economy is never that good. There has to be a healthy balance of imports and exports. If you're looking to like build a career that's like globally relevant, you have to be as much of a creator as you are a consumer. The moment I lose curiosity in like the work I'm doing, interest is gone, the satisfaction is gone, the enjoyment of the work is gone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Pulse of Tech podcast, where we have insightful conversations about building digital products, brands, and teams. Today, our guest is the amazing Linda Ikechukwu. She's a talented software engineer, developer, educator, currently pursuing her MBA at a top 10 business school. When she's not coding or studying, Linda feeds her passion for travel, lawn tennis, and African folklore. She's so amazing. Hello, Linda. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great, Lede. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to have you on. Yeah.
Same
So,
here.
so I know you wear a lot of hats: engineer, educator, MBA student, part-time traveler, full-time capitalist. Can you introduce yourself and share your journey on how you got to where you are now?
How did I get to where I am right now? I think one thing to know about me is that I like to live a very full life because I am of the mindset that I'm only here for like a really short time. A lot of people want to live to like they're 100 years old. I don't want that for myself. Yeah, I want a shorter lifespan. So I live like fully because I live like I don't have so much time here. So that's why I do a lot of things. I just be doing things. But yeah, how did I get to where I am today? Um, Happenstance, stayed out in school. I was studying electronic engineering, and then Huawei like opened like an ICT center in our school, which my HOD was indirectly in charge of. There was a time ASU went on strike, so I went to volunteer there and started working there. One thing led to another. After my final exam, Huawei asked me to come work with them. So that kind of led off my tech career. So I started off in cloud actually and network engineering with Huawei. But like before leaving school, I was learning to code because I had built a WordPress blog for myself, and that got me into like this rabbit hole that sparked this sort of like curiosity where I was curious about how systems like this were built that could allow somebody like me who didn't have like much knowledge about like software engineering build a full-fledged blog without having to like dig into the details. So that took me to a rabbit hole, and I started learning to code. So when I left Huawei mainly for the fact that I had like before I left school, I had like a trajectory of what I wanted my earning capacity to be in 5 years. So when I did that, I was at Huawei for almost 2 years. When I looked at the trajectory of what my career could look like at Huawei, it didn't feel like I could attain that financial goal. So I left Huawei to pursue like software engineering. I already had software engineering skills because I had been doing that from school. So finding a job wasn't that difficult. I just applied to like a bunch of jobs and got one and, switched like full-time software engineering. Yeah. And then from there, things just, evolved. I've always been, because another fun fact about me is that I don't have such a great memory. I have something I like to call sieve memory, in the sense that the only way I remember things is through reinforcement. So I've built methods for learning for myself, and that method heavily involves like whatever I want to retain or learn, I have to teach or write about to unintentionally continuously expose myself to that idea or that system, and so it sticks. That's the only way things stick in my brain. So that put me into like this cycle where I was constantly writing about things and breaking things down in a bit for myself. but I was publishing them and people started finding them very interesting, very helpful, and companies started reaching out to me to come and, write for them and break down their products in a way that developers standards and break down concepts they were trying to work on and all of that. And yeah, that was how I got into like developer education and developer advocacy because I was just doing something for myself and companies were like, yeah, we need this, we need somebody who is able to break down complexity like this, and companies just started reaching out to me. I was doing it on like a freelance basis and eventually just joined this company where I had to like lead, form out the developer advocacy and developer education company team from scratch and build that from scratch and just pioneer it. I have been there for 3 years now, although I left just this month. So yeah, that's career wise. That's how I have. That has been my journey. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. That's very amazing. I mean, one of the things that really got me was when you said you looked at your earning capacity and the trajectory. If you're going to stay at Huawei, you were there for 2 years. I'm sure you must have been like, okay, what is your manager earning? And how long did it take your manager to get to where he is? If you were to stay there,
Exactly. Yeah.
it might take you a similar amount of time. Do you want to be earning that amount of money? And
Yeah. And
not a lot of people think that way, but it's very important
um
for progression
yeah,
as well.
I think that most people have the privilege to not have to think that way. But when you kind of like occupy the unique position I occupy, financial reward becomes like a very not huge, but like a very important career determinant that you take into account when you're picking from your options. Because like I'm the first daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and my father is late. I'm basically training all my younger siblings, so the money
Yeah,
has to come from somewhere. Yeah, so for me, that was a very important factor considering my situation. For people with like different circumstances, it wouldn't have mattered much. That's why I think that in different circumstances, people would have chosen like the job security of Huawei and the prestige and the name. But for me, I needed money. Like I had a lot of problems that I needed money for, so I had to port or pivot.
totally understandable, and it makes a lot of sense. Just to branch out of the conversation slightly, do you think the kind of ambition you had when you were at Huawei, do you think it's a matter of, for certain people that don't have that ambition, do you think it's a matter of privilege or just not having ambition? Or like
Hmm.
it's only condition that makes you think that way?
That's actually a very interesting question. One that I have probably spent some time thinking about because I remember
Yeah.
me having a conversation with a friend where I was like lamenting that I'm very much happy with my life. I'm this type of person who does not feel like envious of like people. I'm very much proud and like content with my life. But like if I could change one thing, or if there were people I was envious of, it would be people who had or who have like um, you know, come from privileged families. And he was trying to explain to me that if I had come from a privileged family, the type of cutthroat drive that I have currently, I wouldn't
You
have
might
it
not
because
have
there
it.
wouldn't be. Yeah, there wouldn't be need for it. And he actually did make a lot of like strong points, walking me through how like the source of my drive is literally the fact that like there is no rice at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that on a sense, yeah, while
Exactly.
the presence of like privilege often tends to like dampen ambition, that's not always the case, but the presence of privilege sometimes can be a factor that dampens,
Dampens ambition.
yeah, ambition or drive, because it's like that TikTok or like Instagram sound. Like you don't have to go hard. Like you really don't
Mm-hmm.
have to. Like you can just go
Yeah.
at your own pace.
Yeah,
and figure things out.
there's a lot of that on TikTok these days. Yeah.
Like,
Like
you don't have to
why are you
go
taking
hard.
ownership at work? Why are you taking
Yeah,
ownership at work? You don't have to get promoted. Lots of I think there's a study that came out that lots of Gen Zs don't want managerial roles. Well, I mean, in a lot of companies it's the managerial roles that earn more, you know.
yeah, and like you don't have to deal with office politics. If it's too much, you can just be like, I don't need this, you know.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
from
so I do
experience,
feel
office
like
politics unavoidable.
very unavoidable, especially if you
Very
want to like,
unavoidable.
climb the ladder. You
Yeah.
just have to um play it. I don't fancy office politics though. I
I
think
hate
that
it.
yeah, there is like a level to which I can like take it and deal with it. Beyond certain levels, I'm just thinking maybe it's time to leave this company
Yeah.
because I'm not about to use valuable hours that I should be using working and digging into stuff to play politics. That's not my calling. A healthy amount is nice. Beyond that, I'm just going to start looking for my next opportunity.
Yeah.
Really, I also think it's a red flag. Like when I'm in places and it's just a lot of office politics. It's just like no, I'm too young for this.
Yeah.
Too young and
Yeah.
too talented for this.
I
May I
feel
add?
I, I feel the same way, man. I feel the same way, man. Sometimes the politics is just sometimes I'm just like, okay, why am I spending so much time thinking of, why am I spending so much time thinking about this when I could actually be working on something tangible because this person wants to be a difficult person?
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the question I even asked. Sometimes I find that people that come from well to do families, their families are rich, their ambition is usually fueled by wanting to prove themselves, or like there's this toxicity that comes with it. Like maybe they are like they want to prove something to their fathers, or they are not talking to their father anymore, they're not talking to their mom, they want to show them that they can do it by themselves. I mean, but if everything is just fine, everything is just cool, everything is just okay, like where does that drive come from to make more money? But yeah, totally makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
love your journey, I love
Yeah.
your
So
story, and it makes a lot of sense.
thank you. I would any
You're
day
welcome.
pick to be a Nepo baby.
Okay, let me move to the next question. So, Linda, what does it mean to have a globally relevant career? I know it's in the title of the episode.
That's that's interesting. What does it mean to have a globally relevant career? I would say that like for me, a globally relevant career means that like, you're contributing to like conversations and to your industry behind like beyond like your local, your immediate environment. You're contributing to like conversations, in your industry beyond your local environment. You're solving problems on a global scale, or you're contributing to like solving problems on a global scale as opposed to like solving problems that are just within your immediate environment. You're solving problems that affect or touch people globally. It means that your skills are globally validated, your work has global acclaim, and yeah, you're playing in like ecosystems that span countries beyond your physical, where you're physically placed. I think for me, that's what building like or having a globally relevant career means. And I think that it's very much more important in this era of like talent visas. It's a thing that anybody who is like looking to apply for talent visa should start thinking about, towards the framework of like having a career that is globally relevant because it makes things easier for you.
That makes a lot of sense. How do you think we can break out of the local mindset? And should people break out of the local mindset? Should people aspire to break out?
Okay. So I'm going to take this question one after the other, starting with like if everybody should break out of like the local context, and I don't think so. And here's why: most people, the problems that they are focused on like solving requires like a lot of like focus on like local context. For example, say Money Point POS, when they started, it was like a local context problem that they were solving. So at that point, it wouldn't have made sense to like look to like the global scale on what was happening because they were focused on like fixing a particular locally contextual problem. So in situations like that, it doesn't make sense to expand your outlook, globally. I think it has to do with like what type of problems you're solving. But so yes, my answer to should everybody, start to like posture for like the global audience, my answer to that is no. Focus on like the it's very dependent on the context of the problem you're solving. Is it a problem that can benefit from like global inputs, or is it a problem that requires focus on that local context because that's where it applies? Yeah. And then in the sense of how to you know take your career global, I think one of the easiest things, which I'm always telling my people that I mentor, is first of all is to the internet has done such a wonderful thing where it has really like leveled the world for us. When in the past we used to say that the world was flat, the internet has literally kind of like made the world flat in the sense that you can connect with people from like literally any part of the world. So that's it. That's a great place to start, is look for people that are playing in the same field as you are, but like in different locations, and connect to them, curate inputs from them, like learn from them. This could be via LinkedIn. Look at how they are doing things differently from you. What can you pick from them? And there's also this import and export thing. I'm using economics terms now. But like if you look at countries that only import things, their economy is never that good. There has to be a healthy balance of imports and exports. So what this
Yeah.
means is that in your career, yeah, if you're looking to like build a career that's like globally relevant, you have to be as much of a creator as you are a consumer. You can't just be consuming ideas alone from, other people out there. You need to put your own ideas or your own learnings out there. And for me, that has been like a very huge determinant of what has gotten my career to like where it is right now, is that I have put out things that people from every part of the world have come in contact with, have read, have found value with, have watched some of my talks, found value with it, messaged me. I have blogs that I get buy me a coffee alerts from people in the Philippines, from strange countries that I've never set foot in, and it's people finding the knowledge that I've shared valuable, and they're just all around the world. That I think that I'm always telling my mentees that it's one of the fastest ways to like elevate yourself from playing locally to like playing on a global scale, is as much of a consumer that you are, also be like a creator, put things out there.
So everything you just said really resonates with me, especially in the import and export category. So I feel like I consume a lot. I consume a lot of content. I consume a lot of tutorials. I consume a lot of documentation, whether it's API documentation or all these things. My exports has sort of been limited to the products that I put out, right? So like the products I build with what I'm consuming. However, what I find is even though I'm putting out the products under the company that I'm working for. So it's not necessarily tied to me. It's tied to the company first before it's now then tied to me, right? And there's also the parts where you might want to be putting content out there, like creating writing more articles, doing more talks, giving more speeches. I feel like I myself need to do more of that. So this is advice that I think I'm going to take as well, you know.
Yeah, I think that people just make the barrier to entry difficult for themselves. The way to look at it is writing reviews for yourself, more like a retrospection. That's usually how I do my. It's like at the end of every quarter, or like the end of every month, I sit down and I ask myself, what's one strange or important thing I learned this month? With everything I've done at work, what's one thing that just I just realized that, we've been doing this wrong all along. If we had just done this, I did this and it worked and it was different. So I just put that out there. Like for myself, it's more like an introspection,
Mm-hmm.
or like a retrospective for myself. So that's a way to frame it, because what I find people doing is like, just increasing barriers for themselves to putting things out there. And it's just like, do it for yourself first. Just think about it as like
Mm-hmm.
you're augmenting things that you've learned for yourself, and it becomes easier from there.
And people might be interested in reading that.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I found that those are the type of you know, pieces that do very well. It's like you just talking about what you have learned from, backed with experience and research, works all the time.
Mm. So essentially, learning more relatable things, sort of pseudo personal things as well. Hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I'll take your advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me go to my next segment. So I want to talk about ambition and joy. And I know we've talked a lot about ambition on this podcast. And we all recognize the importance of enjoying your work to maintain great mental health. I feel like that's something I've struggled with a lot in the years that I've been working. You know that old trope of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Have you, in your personal
Yeah.
experience, have you discovered any effective balance between pursuing your ambitions and also enjoying yourself on the way?
Yes. So, and
Awesome.
this is actually part of like a talk, that a keynote I'm giving at Oscar Festival, I think in 2 weeks' time or even next week, I don't know. But it's basically something I have had to like do a lot of research and just observe my career and at which point I felt energized. And I've come to realize that what keeps us energized at work is not passion, it's curiosity. When you're curious about the work you do, you're interested in it. So for me, usually the moment I lose curiosity in like the work I'm doing, interest is gone, the satisfaction is gone, the enjoyment of the work is gone, because there's nothing pulling me to it. It becomes mundane, routine. It becomes something that I just have to do to get a paycheck. And at that point, I'm just, it's not engaging. It starts to feel, that's when people start to experience burnout. That's when people start to experience stress and just dragging yourself. You now realize that things you used to do and get lost in, or enter this focus mode and get lost in, or things you do in 10 minutes, it's not taking you an hour because you're not engaged, you're not interested anymore. It has lost that aspect of like curiosity. You're not
Yeah.
longer curious about it. So what that means is that you've lost interest, and at that point, that job becomes a stressor in your life. It's no longer enjoyable. So curiosity is like a very important factor. And I feel like when people are deciding, people come to me and they ask me, oh, okay, so I'm trying to figure out what to do next, or I'm trying to like decide if it's time for me to leave my company or like my current role. And my answer to them is always, if you're no longer curious about that role, you feel like there isn't anything that you're curious about in that role, then it's probably, your time there has probably expired, and it's time to like call it a day and look for something else. The reason that we don't enjoy work starts to become a stressor is when you've lost interest in it. and you lose interest by losing curiosity, it now becomes a stressor, and that starts like seep into other aspects of your personal life. Because if you're not enjoying work, you find it difficult to enjoy time outside of work. It just spills into everything else. So yeah, that's one thing I would say in like terms of like trying to like maintain work-life balance is, first of all, find work that you're curious about. If you find work that you're curious about, that means you're able to like sustain interest in it and it's not a chore for you. If you find work that you're curious about, it's easier to maintain work-life balance because you leave work feeling good about yourself. And there's always a difference on days where you leave work feeling good about yourself and days where, it's like, yeah, please, what did I even do today? It spills into your personal life, no matter how
Yeah.
you want to like, you know, separate both words. Never, especially for remote workers, where like, because you're existing in the same spaces where your work and personal life happens concurrently, it's difficult for your brain to,
Yeah.
have that separation. Yeah, so
Tell me about
that's
it.
one fix. I dealt with that a lot. So
Mm.
I'm kind of speaking from experience.
Yeah.
So that's one fix, is finding work that you're curious about. I'm still developing the thesis, but yeah, it's something I plan to like talk about more in my upcoming keynotes at Oscar Fest. Because like when people are always like passion, 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 deal is, honestly, not everybody has a passion, and that's fine. And now the problem is that people that even have passion, you can't monetize your passion, and oftentimes you're not even good at your passion. For example, classic example, my passion is sleeping. Like, oh my god, I spend most of the time I am awake thinking about sleeping. Very passionate about sleeping. I have
Mm-hmm.
dug into like research papers about sleeping, sleeping patterns, hormones that help with sleeping, all of that, bodily functions, fluids, and all of that. Very passionate about it. Now, please, how do I want to translate this passion for sleep into money? It can't work. What am I going to do?
Profession.
Longest
Guinness Book of Record.
Guinness Book of Record for longest sleeper. The point is that they don't even pay those.
Yeah.
They don't even pay
Yeah.
the World of Record people. And now the deal is that as someone who is now very passionate about sleeping, guess what? I am terrible at sleeping. Very terrible. If I go to bed by 10, I cannot be in bed for longer than 7 hours. Like, it doesn't matter. My body will wake me up. You know how I'll just be somewhere fantasizing about, oh, I'm going to spend the entire day in bed. Is a lie. Once is 7, 8 hours later, I'm up from that bed. So now, someone that is passionate about sleeping that cannot even sleep a whole 24 hours, how do I even want to survive? So I think that
Oh my God. Yeah. 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 Go on.
moving away from the joke though, yeah, but like what I'm saying is that, yeah, passion is not is not what people often need, because like passion is often impractical and is often, it's often very impractical. So most times it's not what the average person needs. What the average person needs is work that's engaging to them, work that they
Mm.
are curious about. That's how you enjoy work. And it has to be work that, aside that, there are a couple of other factors, and this one, these ones are like backed by actual research that has been done. I think one of the bodies that does research like this is like the 80,000 Foundation or something. Yeah, but this one is backed by like actual research. You need to be in an environment where like you're surrounded by supportive colleagues. You need to be in an environment where you can see how the work you're doing helps other people. That's how you find it valuable and you find it enjoyable, coupled with like the curiosity and interest factor. And then it doesn't feel like a chore anymore. It doesn't feel like something you have to do. It feels like something you're excited to show up for. And at the end of the day, when you clock out feeling good and you can resume your personal life. Yeah, so that I think what I'm trying to say is that I got into February, March, I started to notice that my work did no longer interest me. And I tried to like damp it down and just ignore it, but like it's still making me like
Very.
what I just, yeah, like what I just explained. I would get to work and I wasn't even motivated to contribute to new ideas. I wasn't like, it was just, I would drag my feet all day.
I
I
feel
would,
you.
things that would take me 2 hours, it will now take me the entire day. At the end of the day, I'm supposed to clock out by like 8 p.m. I end up clocking out by 11 p.m. I've ruined my sleep schedule, and it spills into the next day, and the next day is now terrible because I ruined the previous day. So it's just, domino effects of just days that have just been ruined because I wasn't engaged at work anymore. And at that point, that was when I knew that it was time for me to like take a break, which now I am currently fun employed. And I know that it's this is like a very privileged thing to do. But yeah.
I mean, that was very profound and insightful. As you were talking, I was just thinking about myself personally and the jobs I've had in the past, and it was actually losing my curiosity led to me losing my drive and wanting to go above and beyond for the company. To be honest, I'm like putting two and two together now. I think that was it. There's a couple of things that add to that. For me, I like to work with very smart people, and when it gets to the point where I'm like the smartest in the room, there's nothing else to aspire to anymore, right?
Yeah.
If the if the problem we are trying to solve is no longer interesting, like we've solved all the problems already, everything is just status quo, you know. There's
Yeah.
no, yeah. I don't know if it's a naive trait, because as we get older we need stability, and we can't keep relying on our job
Definitely.
having to be interesting. But we're still young, right? We're still young, right? Okay, yes, we're still young, we're still very young. We can't keep relying on you know our job interesting us, exciting us. But because the older generation might tell you that you don't have to love your job. For me to keep interest in my job, I have to be very interested. I have to be curious about what we're building, the problem we're solving. And if that is no longer
Yeah.
there, it's like I get bored, and I'm
So
just going through the
the deal is
motions.
that, yeah, the deal is that it's easier for you to detach yourself from work when work does not happen in the same space where you carry out your personal life. And so that's why for our parents, it was easier for them to,
Mm,
make work routine because it's just like going for a run. You
yeah,
go out
you
of
go,
your
you come
space.
back.
Yeah, you go, you come back. Whatever happens there, and that's it. But when work exists in the same space as your personal life, it's difficult to detach. And if you're not plugged into something, you're not interested, it now becomes like a huge problem. And that's why people that work, who work remotely encounter problems like this or feel this way a lot more often than people who do not work remotely. That being
That's an
said,
interesting point, Sha. That's an
yeah,
interesting point, because our parents, they used to bring work home, and the older
yeah,
generation.
it was like work is there. This is house,
Mm,
like
yeah,
it was like going for a run.
yeah.
Okay, see you later. The run is over. You come back to your house, you resume your personal life. But like as remote workers, those lines are blurred for us. So it's now your brain has to work over time to create those demarcations and that separation. So
Now
that's why like
imagine working, imagine now working on something that you're not curious about or you're not interested in, and it has to live in your brain 24/7.
exactly. You keep
Yeah.
mulling over it and it keeps, seeping into your personal life. And that's why at the end of the day, you start being burnt out, unhappy. It just seeps into every single thing. But the deal is that there are you could explore ways to make your current job interesting to you. That's an option.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers to that yet, but that's an option. You could, explore ways to make your current job, to add a bit of interest, to make it like interesting or like, to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's very important because like I said, as we're getting older, I don't know. I don't want to say we have to learn how to become more content in the jobs that we have, even when they start to get routine or samey, One of the problems I faced, and I think I've spoken about this actually. One of the problems I faced, so in my previous company that I worked with, so when I joined, everything was scattered. There was chaos. There was no structure, right? So it was interesting. Then because I felt like I could put structure in place. So after putting structure in place and everything is now routine, a couple of years after, I'm just there like, okay, there's nothing else that is new that I can, put here. And then I'm just always looking for something new, one new initiative to add, one new initiative to bring into the team. But it never really hits the same as when there was total chaos. And that might be toxic of me. I don't know, because some people crave that stability, some people crave the systems. Like, I find that I crave the chaos, but I want to put the stability in place. But then once stability is now in place, I'm like, I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Which, it's it's crazy. It's crazy, but I mean, it's we just have to figure out a way to deal with it. But as long as we are aware that this is happening, I think that's the first step. We don't
Yeah.
have to have all the answers, so it's
That's the
fine.
first step, definitely for me, because like there is a lot of like research that has to go into this, a lot of findings, but just having it or just uncovering that the problem is just that you've lost interest, and that's why you're having these outcomes. That's progress, and then you can now start finding solutions. Okay, what can I do to make work interesting for me now, or what can I do to give my brain better tools to be able to separate work from life. I have a friend who never, she's a remote worker, but she never works from her house. And I think that is a great and contributor to like her mental health. So she
Hmm.
treats her remote work like a 9 to 5. She wakes up, she goes to like a co-working space that her company pays for, and she works. At the end of the day, she clocks out and she comes back home and resumes her life. And it's you can literally see that she never brings problems from work back home, because like her brain has just been like, yeah, we've left work. Once we leave that workspace, we've left work, and we don't get to work till the next day. So it's just exploring things like this that help, and also just understanding your personality type, like exploring if there are other ways to like make work exciting for you or interesting for you, even if it's in tinier ways, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, my answers to that are still evolving. Hopefully before my keynote, I would have like an answer to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So like I said, the way I tried to fix it in the past is to find more chaos to fix. And then what ends up happening is, for example, let's say I'm the engineering manager or CTO of a company. Maybe I've put systems in all the places that I can figure out to put systems in engineering. Now I'm looking at marketing. So marketing, how far, what are the inefficiencies here that I can help you guys solve? And then I'm going to sales, and then I'm going to the business people. And I might step on toes in the process because people are like, dude, face your departments. But for
Like,
me, I'm just like,
do your own job
I'm
and let me
just,
do mine.
yeah. It's like do your own job, and I'm just like, no, now I'm just here. Do you need any help? Like, it's a very serious thing because, for example,
Yeah.
if you really like the job that you're doing, but at the same time, there's nothing else to be curious about within your own space. What is there to be curious about in other departments within that same company? I've tried that. Did not necessarily work out well.
Yeah.
May or may have not made some enemies in the process. Potato, potato. I've tried that. It might work for you. It might not work. Yeah. So people
Yeah.
listening, you guys can try this. Just do amebo, enter other departments and try. Like, since it's curiosity, you can be curious about other departments as well, and then maybe you might broaden your horizons. Maybe it might work. You might make some enemies, or it might work. Aside from that, I've not been able to figure out any other way to bring more curiosity aside from just creating more problems. There are some people that create chaos so they can fix it because they love. Maybe I'm one of those people. Okay, let me let me move on to my next question.
Another thing to
So,
explore is also
okay,
like,
yeah.
looking at like if you can get your chaos to fix, if you can get your fix from like other sources outside of work. That's like something
Mm,
else to explore that works for like most people, or it not that it works, it doesn't really feel that void, but it kind of helps in
mm,
a sense. Yeah.
it helps. Yeah, yeah. I get that. I get that. Okay. So, for you, Linda, what's the most joyful decision you've made in your career so far? Even if it's made no sense on paper to people that were watching from the outside.
I would say it will be leaving my job. Yeah, I don't
Hmm.
think that
The one
so
you
many
just
people
left?
have. Yeah, the one I just left. Yeah, it didn't make sense to anybody because I very high paying job.
Hmm.
It's not an easy job to stumble into in terms of like the financial rewards.
Hmm.
And here I was just walking away from all of it. But yeah, I think that in recent times that has been one of my most joyful decisions. It was just me, and for me it kind of like signified growth in the sense that as someone who has
Hmm.
occupied like the position of provider for so long, I hold on to I'm not open to failure or like instability. I hold on to stability a lot because I
Yeah.
not only do I need it, I have people who demand
Who
that I am stable.
and they rely on your stability as well.
Yeah, I have people left to myself, I can take care of myself, but like I have people who rely on that stability, who call for that stability. So I'm usually afraid of, I wouldn't say afraid of taking risks, but I don't take as much risk as I usually would because of my peculiar situation. So for me, it just kind of signified growth for me, having like the courage to just say, I think that I have done my best work that I can do here, and this is no longer bringing me joy. It has become like a source of anxiety for me, and um, despite the fact that the money is like ridiculously good, I
Hmm.
think that at some point, I was speaking to a friend today and he was like, what's the purpose of making money if you can't buy your freedom? Yeah. Why do you keep making money if you can't start to like buy some freedom for yourself in some areas of your life? What's the money for? Like, why do you keep stashing and making money? So for a lot of people, it seems like a very reckless financial decision because I was walking away from a very hefty pay
Yeah.
job that, but it just signified growth for me in the sense that I'm beginning to grow to be comfortable with not having everything figured out, just
Figure it out.
having faith in like the skills
Yeah.
I've built over time, having faith in my abilities, and yeah, and just having faith in the fact that like when I'm ready to like get back in, things will fall in place. Just I would call it a healthy dose of delusion. But yeah, that's my
Yeah.
answer. That's probably one of the best things I've done for myself of recent.
Yeah, and I think faith plays a big role in it as well. And believe in yourself. There's a certain level you get to, and I'm sure you've probably realized that you are there now. The level you get to where you realize that you can't go hungry.
Yeah,
You can't go hungry, even if you don't have a job right now. Something can come up. Somebody would need you. You can go into consulting. You can do
yeah,
whatever you want. You can write books. You can take a gap year, just for your mental health, and you would still be
yeah,
employed as long as you're still, you're reading, you're growing, you're
yeah,
creating. But it doesn't have to be at the beck and call of someone else or another company. And I think that's an amazing place to be. So yeah,
yeah. So my plan is
I
actually to
vibe with your joy.
thank you. My plan is to take a gap year and just and just figure things out for myself. I used to say that I would have appreciated. I think that I have been working from like my third year in uni, so I never had like downtime, and so the thing people did where they had their probably had like their NYSC period to rest and just take
Relax.
life slowly. I never had that. Like as soon as I dropped my last paper, I started working for Huawei. And I've been working with like a small scale web development company for like 3 years while I was in school, and then I started working. So I've never really had downtime where I didn't have a job in the past what 8, 9 years now. It
Yeah,
just felt
it's
like this was my gift to myself to just be, I think.
almost a decade. Almost a decade. You've earned it. I find that a lot of people that have that ambition or the responsibility or just the drive to prove that you can do it, they really just start work from, like you said, the 300 level, and then they never stop until they die. So I think it's a
Yeah.
good place to be as well. So I guess this is where the fun employment comes in.
Yeah, I plan to stay jobless for like a while.
Yeah. When you mentioned it, I had no
Minimum of six
idea what
months.
it
I plan to
meant.
stay jobless for 6 months.
Nice. When you said fun employment,
Fun
I had
employment.
no idea what it
Yeah,
meant.
it's
Like,
just
I'm just figuring it out now, like while we're having this conversation. Oh my god. I'm just figuring it out now, like while we're having this conversation. Fun employment. I was thinking, oh, you're having fun while you're working. That's what I thought it was. And now I'm just clocking away. It's fun
no.
employment might actually. Yeah.
Yeah, fun employment is doing whatever you want. It's actually not having a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I had no idea. I'm just figuring it out now. I'm like, it just connected.
It's not having a job. It's like just doing. So for most people, they
Mm,
can decide to travel during their fun employment period, or like just pick up like a
nice.
hobby that they've always wanted to do. Maybe say play the guitar. So like on a Monday morning when people are going to work, they are going to their guitar classes. So that's fun employment. It's like basically doing whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Nice, nice, nice. I've learned something new today. I've learned a lot of new things today, but yeah, this one this one is quite interesting. So yeah, you've been reading a lot about quantum computing. So let's go into that a bit. How would you explain quantum computing to your grandma?
Before I left my company, one of the projects we're working on was introducing post-quantum cryptography into, or in other terms, quantum resistance cryptography into our product. Because what our product does is it protects data, it encrypts data in transit, and also does like endpoint encryption. So this was necessary because of the threat of like quantum computers not becoming reality, because like companies like Microsoft and Google have introduced their own quantum computing chips. It's just not at the capacity that it should be to have reasonable effects. So, quantum computing, how would I explain quantum computing to a grandma? I would say that right now, the computers we have process information in ones and zeros, and we call processing power bits. Yeah, it's either on or off. So, a bit is either on or off. Quantum computing or quantum computers use a different processing method in the sense that their bits can be 1 and 0 and a value between 1 and 0 at the same time. And that's very confusing. Which is why at the end of this episode, took my time to like write a detailed guide breakdown on what quantum computing is. It was probably one of the last things I wrote for my company before I left. I can include the link. If you want to geek out, have fun. So many images because I geeked out on it. I drew a lot of I tried to explain from the first principles of mathematics how it works. It's kind of difficult to explain right now, but yeah. So classical computers, which are the computers we have right now, work in bits, zeros and one. Quantum computers use instead of transistors which computers use right now, the transistors that go on chips and all of that and make processing power. Quantum computing uses what are they called now, some quantum mechanics properties to create the qubits, which instead of just having the ability to either exist in 1 or 0, it now can exist simultaneously in 1, 0, and a value between 1 and 0. So what that means in layman terms is that quantum computers have the ability to perform computations that would usually take a classical computer, something that would take a classical computer 20 years to do. A quantum computer can do it in a matter of hours, because what happens now is that your classical computers process information in a way that they have to especially when they are solving incremental problems, say factorization, they have to solve one problem after the other. Like if you're solving a problem that the next stage of the problem depends on a solution from the previous stage of the problem, they have to solve it incrementally, one stage after the other. Quantum computers are different in the sense that they can solve all the all the stages in that problem at the same time and arrive at an answer. So it means that computations are faster because now it's not just dealing with states of either 1 or 0, it's dealing with states of 1 and 0 and an arbitrary number at the same time. So in a nutshell is that quantum computing can break current encryption. So the current encryption algorithms that are used to secure WhatsApp
Passwords and all those
messages,
things.
passwords, bank apps, everything, because of how quantum computers rather can, tackle problems at lightning speed. They have the ability to break these algorithms that currently protect data. But there has now been a lot of research into coming up with what people are calling post quantum computing algorithms, or quantum resistant algorithms. Now, these are algorithms that take into account the way quantum computers solve problems, and they came up with mathematical problems that are difficult for quantum computers to solve, and they're now using it as the basis of these newer quantum
Encryptions.
resistant encryptions. So that's basically what we're doing at work, is that this quantum computers is no longer a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because I think it was last year, Google's recent, what was it called, Willow or something, they released a quantum computing chip. The only problem is that it's currently at about 100 or 300 qubits. But to be able to solve the astronomical scale of problems like breaking encryption, you need about 3 million qubits. So that will take a while. Also, because computers use physics properties, they are very unstable. So they need a lot of cooling,
Mm-hmm.
and that has been difficult for like scientists to figure out. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because they've had like working, they just need to be able to find a way to like make these qubits exist in larger numbers and not overheat and be stable to be able to like perform these astronomical computations. And so what we, or what like most security minded companies or companies who offer security products have been doing is now upgrading their encryption schemes from like standard encryptions that everybody currently uses to post quantum or quantum resistant encryption, pending when quantum computers come. The data they've already secured is not at risk, because what can happen now is that people can currently harvest encrypted data. They don't need to decipher it or break it, they just harvest it and store it. And then when quantum computers become reality, they use quantum computers to break it. It's called harvest now, decrypt later threats. They use quantum computers to break it and they can access like historical information. So a lot of security companies are now upgrading their in as much as the fact that like quantum computers are not very real right now. They are not like a real risk right now. What people are doing is now upgrading, like being proactive to upgrade their encryption schemes to this quantum resistant algorithms, so that even when somebody harvests their data right now and quantum computers become reality, it still cannot be broken by quantum computers, because that data is now encrypted with like quantum resistant cryptography. I blabbed a lot. That's a lot of blabbing. But yeah, like I mentioned, I did write like a very full scale. It's about 5,000 words. I try to like explain quantum computing from like the very first principles, and there's a lot of maths and like a lot of drawing. It's um, yeah, you'll probably
Okay.
find it in the episode notes, but I think that if you're a geek and want to dig into it, it's fun. It was fun for me because I had a lot of fun writing that.
Yeah, so I definitely love to read the article. So I'm going to drop the link in the description about the quantum resistance algorithms. Sounds very interesting. So I actually read a lot about all these encryption algorithms, hash functions, you know, protecting passwords, breaking into it with CPUs and GPUs, and trying to slow it down with slow algorithms like bcrypt. So it's interesting to see how
Yeah,
quantum computers can be significantly faster. So when you calculate the time it takes to brute force something, it seems like with quantum computing it's going to be significantly faster, like you said, from 20 years to just a matter of
yeah,
hours.
way,
So
way, way faster.
way
Yeah,
faster. Like, that sounds ridiculously faster. But yeah, one of the problems it faces right now
yeah,
is the
ridiculously
cooling.
faster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love to read it. I'm excited to read it. So let's go straight into rapid fire questions. So this is the fun part, sort of. So Linda, are you a tea or a coffee person? I know the answer to this one, but let the audience know as well.
definitely more of a tea person. Coffee makes me sleep. Yeah, I'm one of the weird people. Yeah.
Of course. Okay. Tea. Morning or are you a morning or a night person?
Honestly, if I were to answer that question, see, I'm neither. I don't want to be either. Like, I just want to be sleeping. Did you get?
Yeah. Professional sleep.
I'd rather not. But I've conditioned myself to wake up in the morning, so I would say morning person.
Yeah, that's still something I'm struggling with in my big age conditioning myself to wake up early if I sleep early. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, for for the sleep Olympics, I personally might win myself because I might not sleep
I
early, but when
think
I sleep,
you
I sleep. When I sleep, I really sleep. So yeah, light mode or dark mode, which one do you prefer?
definitely
This says
dark
a lot
mode.
about you as a
I don't
person.
know.
Okay.
People that
Okay.
you
Okay.
think, what does it say
Dark mode
about
was the
me?
right answer. I'm just being dramatic. But dark mode is always the right choice. Dark mode is always the right choice. I feel like you're a
Always.
psychopath if
Why,
you're
as a
just,
person,
yeah,
why are you
always.
on? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
why do
as
you
a
want all that
person, why are
light
you
in
on
your
light
face?
mode? Like, why do you want all that
Help
light
me
in your
ask them,
face? Is your
oh,
future not bright enough? Like,
help me ask them,
is
oh.
your future
There are
not
some people
bright
have
enough that you need
asked,
to augment
yeah,
the lights,
yeah.
the external light?
There are some people have asked that they're like, no, it has to be light though, it's too dark. I'm like, even at nights, I can understand if
Like,
you want to use light mode, during the day, but at night, come on, don't do that to yourself.
you need to start
Give me,
arresting those people.
yes, get them locked up. They should not come and carry me. So yeah, next question: swimming pool or beach?
Beach, anytime, any day. Swimming pools are overrated. Please give me the beach. I love a good sea wave. Just in there. I don't think there's anything calmer than that. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's therapeutic sometimes, all the time actually. So
all the
iPhone or
time.
Android?
Like all
This
the time.
this is the final one. Yeah,
iPhone or an Android. I think that this is not an informed choice. I have to put that out there. But because I just use all my devices are practically part of like the Apple ecosystem, so I would say iPhone. But like this is not an informed choice. It's a choice made from familiarity, not made from a place of like information of having tried both words. So.
yeah, sure, of course. Okay, okay. So it's fine. It's fine. I'm not judging you. Like why would I judge you? I'm not. I'm not. So yeah, let me ask my final question. Let's do some reflection and maybe we can give people advice. What advice would you give to the people watching, the people listening, who want to go global and be world class in their work, who want to have a globally relevant career? What advice would you give to those people?
I think it would be two things. The first one is to build a very straight on building a reputation as someone who is reliable, someone who gets the job done. Like that's very, very, very important. You want people that you've worked with to be able to walk into circles that you're not in and be able to say, yeah, like Linda will get it done. Like anything you give Linda, just know that it will get done.
Yeah,
Like if she tells you it's going to get done at so date, it's going to get done. You don't want to be trying to build a global career and you're playing against yourself by not being a reliable person, because the thing is that talent is evenly spread. There are a lot more people who are much more talented than you are. And so when you're presented with opportunities, you have to present a reason why you should be held on to for that opportunity. And one of the easiest way to prove yourself as being what is being having like a reputation of being a reliable person, people are more likely to gravitate to and work with people who they deem reliable. So that's one for me. And even for me, like when I'm hiring, that's one of the things I look out for. It's like, is being a reliable person important to you? Is it like one of the factors one of the values that you hold there? That's very important to me when I'm hiring. And the other thing, which I mentioned during the course of this episode, is just really create as much as you consume. Tell your own stories, your own experiences, your own learnings in your own words. Create as much as you consume, because as you're gaining value from what other people have put out there from their own personal experiences, and there are people who should and could gain value from your own personal experiences too. Yeah, so those are my top two career advice. It might seem insignificant, but like over time, the compounding effect of these two tiny things becomes very significant. You can see how much change and opportunities it brings your way. Yeah, that's it for me.
yeah, that's amazing advice. To buttress your point about reliability, I think reliability is one of the major reasons why with hiring, referral usually takes the cake for people that
Yeah.
actually get hired, because even if your CV is fine, your portfolio is beautiful, if somebody says I can vouch for this person is reliable, they might take the reliable person over the person that has a slightly better. So thank you so much. That's all the questions I have. So Linda, where can people reach out to you if they want to know more, if they want to read your articles and consume your content?
Maybe just start from like my website and just lindaikechukwu.com. For the piece on quantum computing, I was talking about, just Google preparing for Q Day. That's the title of the article. You'll see it. For any other thing, find me on LinkedIn, my name. I recently started like writing on LinkedIn, just sharing career nuggets from like my experience twice a week. I'm trying to see if I can cajole myself into being consistent at putting out something on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Too early to pat myself on the back to say I've been consistent. So watch out for that if that happens or not.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, do you have any other shameless plugs to add, or something that you're working on that you want people to know about?
Honestly, if I had a GoFundMe, this would be the time to plug it. Fund my fun employment.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Fun employment. I learned
Yeah,
something new today.
outside of that, not really. If you're listening to this and you're probably like a developer advocate, you're a marketer, you're a content strategist, whatever you do that just has to do with like marketing and sales, I am writing a book which would be out probably in October or November with a press on kind of like selling to developers. So yes, shameless plug is to watch out for that and buy my book when it's out so that I can elongate my fun employment. I don't have to go back and start looking for jobs immediately. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm coming. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm definitely going to buy a book when it comes out. Yeah, let me plug my own shameless plug. So guys, thank you for listening, or thank you for watching if you're watching on YouTube. This is the Pulse of Tech podcast. Engage with us on social media and share your feedback, or tell us who you would like us to have as a guest in the future. Our handle is Pulse of Tech Pod, at Pulse of Tech Pod on all social media platforms. And if you want to say hi to me personally, hit me up at Walide on Instagram or Twitter. I'm not really on Twitter, but on LinkedIn, it's Lady Adini. Thank you so much for listening, guys. This has been amazing. Linda, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
thank you,
You've been
thank
awesome.
you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So, guys, stay tuned for more insightful conversations. Peace out. Hello, Linda. How you doing?
That I'm doing good, and you?
I'm all right. I've had
That's
my
good to
coffee,
know.
so I have small energy this night.
Great. Meanwhile, on my end, I'm supposed to be rounding up for the night. I just be like to those like this is my time in the day where I just lounge on the.
2, 1, go. Level up, level up, level up. Why am I singing? Okay. So yeah, quantum computing.